Hello, EDT 598. Just wanted to take a moment to do a quick recap on your Maker Journal number 2, give some shout outs on some great work, and point out a couple of common ideas that keep coming up. First I thought, a couple of articles, and I'll give you guys these slides, just that I've seen in the last couple days. Found it interesting that you are now starting to see these video editing tools that almost look like little bits, if you're familiar with those. I thought some of you that had played with sound production might find those interesting. And likewise, it's always interesting to look to the holiday season and see what toy makers are doing with tech. And so biologically inspired foldable robot bugs on the future of what's coming this year. So again, just relevant to what we're looking at in terms of how kids will interact and play with various technologies. Again, these consumer products that are starting to blur some lines between school and learning and tech. So I thought you might enjoy those articles. Just also a reminder, a plug for some upcoming events: hands-on robotics and coding, low-tech and high-tech making, so we'll be doing 3D design and printing those days. An introduction to Arduino, that one's going to be up at UMaine, not at UMF, and then an introduction to Raspberry Pi. These would all be great events as inspiration for maker journals if you're still looking for some ideas there. So to just go back to the beginning of this course with computational thinking, remember that computational thinking has certain characteristics and dispositions. There's not a universally accepted definition, but it is, there's typically some big chunks to it. From the Google course, there's decomposition, pattern recognition, abstraction, and algorithm design, which is a pretty similar definition to others as well. If you look at the K-12 computer science framework, you'll see similar language here in terms of recognizing and defining computational problems, developing and using abstractions, computational artifacts, refining computational artifacts. Again, connected here with some of those key concepts. So as you continue to unpack this idea of what computational thinking is, I encourage you to go back to that first chunk in Blackboard and just continue to play with those ideas and see where kind of things stick for you. The ISTE and the Computer Science Teachers Association released this document, and I think for me, it's one of the most useful ones because, again, it's saying that this isn't a specific way there's not a specific definition, but there's sort of ideas within the characteristics of computational thinking, and then also thinking about what the dispositions and attitudes are. And I think that one of the things to keep in mind is that computational thinking, while there are related skills in other disciplines, computational thinking does typically talk about the application of those skills and ideas to harnessing the availability and the power of tech. And so I think that is where critical thinking has some related elements, but it is not the exact same as computational thinking, given the way that computational thinking is designed to harness the power of the technology to do some of the algorithms for us. So again, just to continue to push your thoughts on that as you work with these ideas. Wanted to just go through some work. So from the work links, you all have access to each other's work. A bunch of you continue to work with 3D design and construction. Mary Beth did an awesome job of not only looking at Blender and SketchUp, but she made her own videos of the kind of work she was doing, which I thought was a great addition to her blog. And some of you might find interesting, I got to check out CoSpaces last week for designing virtual worlds, and it, sort of another design software. So thought some folks might enjoy that. Um, Abby, if you hadn't have a chance to take a look at her blog, she visually does a really nice job of embedding photo galleries at the top, and then thinking about how she integrates and going beyond just the text. She used the Ratto and Ree article, which was really nicely done on 3D design. Stephanie, if you hadn't had a chance to take a look at hers, she has been using, oops, sorry, that's not hers, that's, she's been using Adobe Spark, which is a really beautiful visual layout for her posts. Thought some folks might enjoy that. And again, what I like about the way that Stephanie is tackling the work is that it's reusable, and she has the potential to use these tools with teachers and others who want to learn about them. So I thought that was great to see the work that she's doing in Tinkercad with Maker Journal 2. A number of you did spin-offs from sort of inspiration with Eric Lawson's session. Amy and Dan, as I said today in the guest speaker, both decided to design their own Google Cardboard. You can read about their posts, Amy here, and then Dan, not only did he design his, he also seriously hacked the price of the design kits, bringing it from $4,000 to just around $600. So that was really fun to see his workings there. Worth checking out. Crystal did an awesome job of connecting with an educator down in Sanford around augmented reality sandboxes. And then also, and I believe I'm correct here, that Crystal, this is video she shot of using the augmented reality sandbox at the, I think it's the Augusta Children's Museum she was at. So that was really fun. I enjoyed seeing that, both the way that she connected with an expert, but then also got to see things hands-on. Paul stepped out of his comfort zone, I know, and looked at using an Arduino, a microcontroller board, and blogged about the experience around learning that and learning something outside of his typical area. So thanks for that. Some great photos of the process and learning, some rich media embedded there. Robin took a look at kind of what looped back around to Dan's earlier post on drones, and looked at the applications not only in education but here obviously in real estate. Caitlin, who's out in California, had the chance to go to the Maker Fair in San Diego, and Caitlin and I had a really similar experience to what you described in visiting the Brooklyn, New York Maker Fair, and that it's really a pretty wild experience. She did an awesome job with focusing in on some speakers that she went to, and one of the things I really liked was, Caitlin, your focus into kind of how it's being leveraged to connect and improve, especially for various populations of students. I thought that that was really compelling, the way that you focused in there with your work. Erin, if you haven't had a chance to check hers out, she did playing with Scratch, and you know, a couple of shout outs here to Erin in terms of some really nice use of headings to sort of break up the visual piece of her blog layout. Also, her URLs are really easy to see with the contrast of colors that she's chosen. And again, just a nice job with her her captions and sort of the visual breakup of the page here, which is excellent, and just fun to read about, you know, how she was using Scratch and coding not only for herself, but as she said, she had her daughter play along with her, which was fun as well. Just a reminder, as you think about, you've got 3 more Maker Journals, and just a reminder that there's kind of a distribution of how you do these. There's those 3 types: the guest speaker or call, or an EDT 598 event, either the 1021, 1028, or the Arduino Raspberry Pi ones. The individual visit to a makerspace or event, that's something kind of out of your typical zone of practice, the tinkering at home, and conversations with an expert. So you need to make sure you do at least 3 of the 4 types as you're working through it. And you may want to look ahead and kind of map those out for the remaining 3 maker journals that you have now, so that you set yourself up to accomplish the goals. And I'd encourage you to look back to the beginning of the semester, both that pre-survey you took, but also some initial goal planning you did back in assignment 2. And then a final reminder, assignment 7, for those of you who have not attended an event synchronously, your first reflection on a guest speaker, you can watch one of the videos, is due next week. All those videos are posted in Blackboard under the guest speaker page. And in Google Classroom now, you will see that I have added assignments, and I've started to, in Google Classroom, you can specialize who gets an assignment. So I've started to vary up dates for the social media champion and the guest blogger. Keep in mind, if you don't see something here, you can go under view all, and you will see all of your assignments in that spot there, so that you can look ahead to those. And folks are taking on that role of social media champion, trying to stir up conversation. So as you have a chance, jump into those conversations, being both on Twitter and also in Google Classroom and in the Facebook group. In TweetDeck, something to realize, you can make these various channels so that you can follow the hashtag @Tech207 by putting in the information here. You can also follow, like I have a list for everyone who is in the EDT program, where I have sort of grabbed all your Twitter handles so I can follow along with what you're saying and join into that conversation. So those are a few things. And then one other tip is that here, if you compose over here, you can actually schedule your tweets. So if the week that you are the social media champion, you want to get that queued up, you have the chance to do that and make it a little bit easier on yourself instead of staying up to date. So anyway, thanks for a few minutes of time and the great work coming in. Look forward to seeing how it continues.